Okay, once again, good morning, my dear students. So, in this video, I'm going to discuss to you another type of functions. And we call that one the one-to-one functions. So, in general terms, the function defines how one variable depends on one or more variables. These variables may be linked by some type of relationship. So, for example, a student has only one LRN, or employees, for example, has their own GSIS number. Isa lang yung kanilang GSIS number. But it could be ako, meron akong maraming IDs. So these are relationships na binabanggit which is been discussed before. So moving on, we are going to focus on a one-to-one function, and we're going to begin it by having this definition. So it says here, a function f is a one-to-one if no two elements in the domain of f corresponds to same element in the range of f. Ano ibig sabihin nito? That each x value, which is the domain, must be matched to one and only one value in y, which is our range. So kung ipipresent natin siya algebraically, then we have f of x sub 1 is equal to f of x sub 2. And this implies that your x sub 1 now is simply equal to your x sub 2. And that one is what we call now a one-to-one function. Okay? To illustrate this, we have this example with us. We have, let's try to highlight it. We have this function g of x, where in here we have the elements, the ordered pair, 0, 2, 1, 3, 2, 4, 3, 5. And by inspection, you would notice that for every element in X, there is only one or unique element in Y. For example, 0 is being mapped to 2, 1 is mapped to 3, 2 is mapped to 4, 3 is mapped to 5. But for instance, another value, say 7, is being mapped to the element in the domain, say 0 again. That would mean that there's a two element being mapped by this zero value in x. So it will be 0, 2, and 0, 7. With that, it violates now the definition that it is one-to-one. So, ibig sabihin, in that case, that function now is not a one-to-one. Okay? So the function g is one-to-one since for every x value, which is our domain, corresponds to a unique value in y. Okay? So that is for our first example. We move on to our second example. The relation pairing that each learner to his or her learner reference number. Ito yung sinasabi ko kanina, yung LRN ninyo. Kasi naman, hindi po pwedeng dalawa yung magiging LRN ng estudyante. So, each learner is assigned to a unique learner reference number. Further, no two different learners have the same learner's reference number. Alangan naman, di ba? Alangan naman yung dalawang estudyante mag-share sa isang LRN or dalawang LRN ay mag-share yung isang estudyante. So, hindi na po pwede yun. Mahirap na yung paghinanap yung records. Am I right? Diba? Now, let's consider the third example. We have the function g again. No? So, we have the function g of x. The function g of x is defined as that one is equal to 2x plus 1. in order for us to check whether it is one-to-one, meron tayong presentation dito. No? It says here na kung siya ay one-to-one, then your G of A should be equal to your G of B. And that implies now, based from the definition, that it should be, balikan natin yung definition, that it should be, what? Your x sub 1 is equal to x sub 2. So, pinalitan lang natin yung variable. Like, in the presentation here, yung ginamit nating variable ay yung si A at saka si B. So, it implies, sabi nga natin, that it should be your A is equal to B. Now, solving it, since your G of A, we have this function G of A, the variable A should be substituted to this one, to this definition of the function G of X, which is equal to 2x plus 1. So we just change X into A. That becomes now 2 of A plus 1. Similarly, we have here G of B. So change this variable X into B. Then we have now 2 of B plus 1. Working in this equation, we come up with 2A equals to B, since 1, positive 1 on the left side and positive 1 on the right side will be cancelled. And of course, simplifying it, we come up now with our answer, answer A equals B, because if we're going to divide 2A equals 2B into 2, then that now be simplified to A equals B. Okay? So, we can now conclude that based on this, we can now say that it's a one-to-one function. Alright, so we move on. Now, ano yung graph ng one-to-one function? Meron tayong ginagamit na isang test, and we call that one the horizontal line test. A function is one-to-one daw if each horizontal line does not intersect the graph at more than one point. So, yung horizontal line natin ay hindi niya mai-intersect yung graph ng hindi higit sa isang point. Pag dumoble, pag umabot ng mahigit isa, then it's not anymore function. Okay, we have an illustration here. We try to inspect. We have here y equals 2x plus 1. Obviously, the graph of this function is a line, right? Because this one is a linear function. So when we draw a line to this linear function, a horizontal line meets only one point. And with that, we can now conclude that that one is a one-to-one function. How about if we have a quadratic function? Say we have y equals x squared. So ito, we have here x equals x squared. Obviously, that one is a parabola. And if we are going to draw, by the way, this parabola is, it opens upward, okay? And if we are going to draw a horizontal line on this graph, you would notice that meron tayong dalawang point na intersect ito at saka yan. And with that, we can now say that it now violates the definition for one-to-one. So we can say now that this one is not a one-to-one function. So, moving on. Again, in this learning activity sheet, ang gusto nating makita dito is kayo is able to represent a real-life situation using one-to-one function. And to further understand and appreciate this learning competency, we have these exercises. Okay. We are going to determine the following functions, whether it is one-to-one. So let's have the first. We have 227, 328, we have 429, and 5 and 13. What can you say on this function f of x? Is this a one-to-one function? So we try to inspect the first element, or let's try to inspect the domain. The domain here are 2, 3, 4, and 5. And you would notice that in the range, there is no replication done. We have 27, we have 28, we have 29, we have 30. And with that alone, we can say now that the first function is a one-to-one function. How about for number 2? We have 11, 14, we have 12, 14, we have 16 and 7, we have 18 and 13. Okay, let's try to inspect the domain. We have 11, we have 12, we have 16, we have 18. How about for the range? Okay, we have here 14, another 14, then we have 7, and then we have 13. Okay, by inspection, you would notice that there's a doubling of this value 14. And what does that mean? There is no more unique value in the range. Kasi nga, meron tayong 14, meron tayong ulit na 14. Ibig sabihin, the value of the domain 14 and 12 is being mapped to what? To 14. And with that one, it now violates the definition for one-to-one function. And with that, we can say now that that one is not function. How about you? Can you do it also in the next exercise? Try it. Let's try this. Let's try this. We have this graph. Okay, number 10. What do you think? Is this function h a function? Or is this function h a one-to-one function? So you would notice now that here we have negative 3 and negative 1 is mapped into a value here in the range. Another is negative 1 again, and 0 is being mapped to only one value to our range. So what do we mean by that? We can say now that that one is not a one-to-one function. Okay? So you can check that one later on. So that one is not a one-to-one function. Now, let's try to have this exercise 2. I'm going to solve some of this, and you will continue the next the other problems. So in this exercise, we use the horizontal line test to determine whether the graph represents a one-to-one function. In example number 1, if I'm going to draw a horizontal line, okay, it intersects only one point. And I can say now that that one is a one-to-one function. For number 5. For number 5, I'm going to draw a horizontal line, okay, a horizontal line, and intersects now 2 points. Can we say now that that one is one-to-one function? Obviously, it's not a one-to-one function because it intersects 2 points. How about number 6? Can you answer it? Okay, so I'm going to leave that one to you. And for the third activity, I'm going to also leave that activity to you. I want you to try practice solving on this and refer your answer to the answer key because it is already provided. So that's all for today, and enjoy trying to understand this topic. Thank you very much.